The United States, the world's leading superpower, is now facing a strange and unexpected crisis. And it all revolves around something you eat almost every day: eggs. Once considered a cheap and essential food, eggs have now turned into a luxury item. In some places, prices have soared to $8, even close to $20 for a dozen. Grocery store shelves are often empty. Many Americans have tried crossing into Canada or Mexico just to buy eggs, only to have them confiscated at the border. Some are even calling eggs the white gold of the year. This crisis is having a direct impact on daily life across the U.S. Eggs are a kitchen staple, from sunny-side-up breakfasts to cakes and countless other dishes. As egg prices surge, the overall cost of living goes up too. For low-income families, cutting back on eggs simply isn't an option. Some restaurants have even added a surcharge to dishes that include eggs. Meanwhile, a number of supermarkets have started limiting purchases to just 1 or 2 dozen eggs per customer to prevent hoarding and price speculation. Even more concerning, in some states, police are investigating massive egg thefts, with hundreds of thousands of eggs stolen. Eggs are no longer just expensive, they've become a target for crime. So what exactly is happening? How did such a basic food item suddenly become scarce? And where did America get its eggs before this shortage began? What caused this so-called egg crisis? Normally, the U.S. has an abundant supply of eggs. It's one of the top egg producers in the world, generating around 100 billion eggs annually. To put that into perspective, if you stacked all those eggs, they could fill multiple stadiums. But where does this massive supply come from? Who's behind this egg-producing industry? Most of the eggs in America come from a region nicknamed the Egg Belt, a cluster of states with high production rates, such as Iowa. Iowa alone produces over 14 billion eggs per year, making up roughly 14% of the entire national output. It's home to thousands of large-scale farms, each housing millions of egg-laying hens. Other key egg-producing states include Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, which together supply more than 30% of the country's eggs. These aren't your typical farms, they're high-tech operations with automated feeding systems, egg collection belts, and efficiency tracking technologies. On average, each hen is expected to lay between 250 to 300 eggs per year. Although California isn't a major producer, it's the largest consumer of eggs in the country. With its massive population, demand is high, and the state relies on imports from other regions while also maintaining some large farms in the Central Valley. Overall, the U.S. egg production system is vast and dominated by large corporations. In general, eggs in America fall into 2 categories: industrial and organic. Industrial eggs come from factory farms, where tens of thousands of hens are confined in small metal cages, maximizing production. Organic eggs, on the other hand, are laid by hens raised in more humane conditions, often cage-free, fed organic food, and allowed access to outdoor areas. These eggs are more expensive, but they're marketed as ethical and higher in quality. In the past, the U.S. was fully self-sufficient in egg production, even exporting eggs to neighboring countries. But that balance has now been completely overturned. So, who's behind this egg crisis? The culprit is none other than a virus, specifically, the avian flu virus H5N1, the same one that once caused chaos in Vietnam. But this isn't your average virus. H5N1 is a supervillain in the world of livestock. It spreads rapidly, through droppings, saliva, feathers, and even through the air when chickens sneeze. It can survive for weeks in the environment, and once a single chicken is infected, the entire flock and even nearby farms are at risk. The only way to stop it from spreading is to cull every bird in the affected area. Even the healthy ones. Over the past 3 years, the U.S. has been forced to destroy nearly 200 million birds, most of them egg-laying hens. Since each chicken lays hundreds of eggs a year, the disappearance of tens of millions of hens has caused egg supply to plummet drastically, and it doesn't stop there. H5N1 has started infecting other animals too, including dairy cows, cats, horses, and even pigs. That's why scientists are sounding the alarm. If the virus mutates to infect humans easily, the consequences could be disastrous. In fact, last year alone, the US recorded over 61,000 human cases of H5N1, mostly among farm workers. One of the biggest challenges in containing the virus comes from wild birds, like geese and ducks. These birds can carry the virus without showing symptoms. As they migrate across states from October to March, they unintentionally spread the virus to farms across the country. No matter how advanced a farm's biosecurity is, it's nearly impossible to stop these airborne virus carriers, but the bird flu is only part of the story. The egg crisis has also been driven by breakdowns in the supply chain. Getting an egg from a farm to your plate involves many steps: raising chickens, collecting eggs, packaging, cold storage, transportation, and distribution. If any part of that system fails, the whole operation slows down. Let's start with feed. Chickens can't lay eggs if they're not fed properly. But due to the war in Ukraine, the global grain supply has been disrupted, sending feed prices skyrocketing. Farmers now spend much more to feed their flocks, and if their chickens are culled because of bird flu, they lose everything. Then there's the issue of logistics. The US is facing a severe shortage of truck drivers, especially those who operate refrigerated trucks. Eggs are fragile and spoil easily without proper temperature control. Without enough transport, shipments get delayed or spoiled. On top of that, logistics costs have exploded. A single refrigerated container of eggs can now cost up to $6,000 to ship, triple what it cost just a few years ago. All of these factors combined have driven egg prices through the roof and left store shelves empty. As domestic supply dries up, the US has had to turn to international markets. A country once proud of producing hundreds of billions of eggs is now importing them, something that would have been unimaginable before. America has signed egg import deals with Turkey, South Korea, and Brazil, and is negotiating with other nations. But importing eggs is far from a perfect solution. Eggs are extremely delicate and must be shipped in refrigerated conditions. If not kept at the right temperature, they can spoil or worse, hatch. The cost of shipping a single container of eggs can run into the tens of thousands of dollars just to maintain proper storage. On top of that, many countries are also battling their own avian flu outbreaks. Their domestic supplies are tight. Italy, for example, refused to export eggs, choosing instead to prioritize its own needs, especially during Easter, when egg demand surges for baking and decoration. In an almost comical twist, some Americans have taken matters into their own hands, driving across the border into Canada or Mexico to buy eggs. But upon returning, they were met by U.S. Customs officers who confiscated the eggs over disease concerns. Border seizure data shows that more eggs are being confiscated now than in previous years. Imagine going on a trip, proudly bringing back a few dozen eggs, only to have them taken away. Some even tried hiding eggs in their luggage, resulting in bizarre and often hilarious situations. Faced with this crisis, the U.S. government had no choice but to act. Former President Donald Trump announced a $1 billion relief package to address the egg shortage. Meanwhile, the U.S. Department of Agriculture is accelerating research into a vaccine for avian flu. But vaccine development takes time, and it must be effective without compromising egg quality. At the same time, farms need several months to restock their flocks. It takes 18 to 20 weeks for a young hen to begin laying eggs. Even if the bird flu is brought under control, restoring the supply won't happen overnight. What seems like a simple egg has revealed a far more complex story. A staple as ordinary as a boiled or fried egg, something we take for granted at breakfast in Vietnam, has become the center of a massive crisis in America. Tied to disease outbreaks, policy decisions, and economic challenges. So what do you think about this situation? Can the US recover quickly? How many eggs do you usually eat in a week? And should we in Vietnam be concerned about rising egg prices too? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching this story all the way through. If you found it interesting, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and share with your friends. For now, goodbye and see you in the next video.